we all live together in a one-room run-down flat. I drive a Nash Rambler car. It never goes very far. I drink my pint of old granddad from an old green mason jar. But I got a brand new girlfriend. She's my brand new girl.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. So we know that our mage is weak. So I think what I want to do is go back to the templates to the west of us. I think that was one that has some monsters we can attack. Right? I think so. So let's try that. We'll basically cross the swamp. If we can get in there and have some fights, then I'm going to start moving individual characters in there and we'll level folks. I'm facing south. I do think having a full mini-map might be a bit much for this. I think it's a bit of a loss to not at least have an on-screen compass. Just as much as I rely on it to navigate, and like it wouldn't take up much screen real estate. Even if there's like a letter in the UI just telling me what my current direction is. I'm afraid of that guy. Oh. Beat him. I should not be afraid of that guy. Shield, give that to Scout. I need to drop a longsword or give a longsword probably. You're correct. That buckler went bad. I think I have a power shield I can give our scout friend. poisoning me? That's harsh. Let's see. How many of these guys are actually still isn't? I guess poison must only occur within the battle, and then it's auto-cured when the battle ends. Some games do that, that's fine. I think I'm still going the right direction. Yeah. I think I would find the... Yeah, up here. I'd like some treatment, please. I think I'll refill my MP also. Cool. I might as well run from this. They don't seem to often give me a whole lot of experience, and they'll drain my equipment. I don't want to... It feels like that's the real progression loss, is like, even if you got some folks powerful enough to fight bad guys, losing equipment you have to go back and find again, it's a pain. I have been finding as I've gotten older and the idea of having like a definitive version of the game has become more and more kind of trite over time. Like, yes, you can get the super awesome PC and it'll do all the video game thing you want. That's fine, but doesn't feel miraculous. The sort of demake kind of becomes more interesting to me. I'm thinking as I play this, like, it does have advantages over the Amiga version, but there's still specific choices made for the Super Nintendo to make this work. And there's a big chunk of like the Game Boy Color library, which is ports with specific compromises to work on the hardware. I don't know, those just seem cooler than playing the fancier versions a lot of times. I'm looking over at my stack of SNES games. I've been buying more SNES recently, and one of those themes is looking at PC ports for the SNES. It's like, right, there's Drakkhen, got a copy of East 3 coming in, bought a copy of SimCity 2000, got a number of Koei games, which sort of technically PC ports. Like, it feels like it was predominantly on PC 98 and MSX, and it got ports to DOS and stuff sometimes. And then later ones went to Windows. Like, game consoles never felt like Koei Games' home platform. Like, they did a big push in the 90s. And as I was looking, like, Romance of the Three Kingdoms saw an upswing of console support in PS2 in the late 2000s. But, like, you can't buy all the games in the series on console, because at some point it's really there to run on PCs. I think the most consistent platform is probably Japanese Windows. Alright, that castle's around here someplace. I don't know. I think ports are pretty rad because they it's a bit of a reimagining of the game, boiling it down to some essential expression that works on the platform. Throw out a bunch of guff. Where the heck is this thing? I guess it's over there. I think I remember having trouble finding this one before, too. There it is. Right. Unlock. And there's an undeniable convenience of for the Super Nintendo, like, I can just sit here with the controller. Alright, which one of these is the right one? I was hoping I could respawn some dudes in here. Well, that's no good. Looks like I gotta go back and, you know, kind of hoped you'd last longer than that. Maybe I should have started with fireballs. So, when I was reading, it sounds like, I think antimatter is one of the spells that our wizard learned a while back. That is for undead. So me using it against other things kind of isn't a good idea. So I think it's just going to be less effective. Brilliant. My wizard being underleveled really, really kind of hurts. I wonder, let me see real quick. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Okay. Let's try that. This may be a more efficient way than me trying to walk into a dungeon and do it. Maybe I can use random encounters to force it. Okay, so the whole USB thing is just, that's just the thing for Densha to go to then. That's a bummer. So Final really wants you to have the USB controller then, it sounds like. An anagram. Wow. Okay, these guys are already defending. Welcome to the stream, Andy. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, so Andy, I don't know if you've watched any of the other times I played this, but my wizards are underpowered right now. So I'm in a tricky bind where I'm trying to progress in the game, and they are the weak links. As far as I know, they predominantly get experience by landing hits on enemies. So originally I'd set my primary offensive caster into a dungeon by himself to try to level him, and he just got killed. What I'm trying now is since I can set what the party does when they attack, basically only having... Why is Scout attacking? Scout shouldn't be attacking, he should be defending. That is not quite right. I thought I had these set up to where... Yeah, defense, and then my casters are using their weapons. Oh golly, I'm going way north. It'd be nice if someone had made like an open source controller driver for Adventure to Go that could make things a little more flexible, because well, I guess, Doc, I don't know if does that USB controller work in 2 and in Final? Like, is it really just the game port one that has the compatibility issues? Or do you have to have like a specific controller for each of these versions and they just don't work well together? Yeah, it'd be nice if there's a driver that could map over some of that. So like I've got the Dreamcast version. I kind of don't want to buy a PC controller because I have a Dreamcast controller and I can get a USB adapter for it. It just won't be recognized as a real controller for Adventure to Go. Go get them, guys. You got this. Nice. Sweet. I remember we had read guides on how to do that, but I'd never got through the Del Saber plotline. That quest line, Andy, that unlocks... Shit. That unlocks building weapons out of monster parts in general, right? Come on, guy. Hit this doofus. This is why you're lower level than everybody else. Yeah. that fireball magic goes fast. Yeah. Let's see if we have any info on experience is at 4973. I don't know what it takes to get to next level. Let's see how much XP I get from this next. 4973 is what we're at now. And basically what I'm triggering here is this is like a trap. Because you're supposed to hit the right button to lower these magical barriers. Hit the wrong one and guards come out. Which, as you can see, I'm just taking advantage of to make respawnable monsters. Of course. My one wizard does not. Wiz Wendy. Not strike a killing blow or any blow, as far as I know. Let's see, just to make sure. 4973. Oh wait, did Gary hit that person? Yeah. Great. All that fireballing and Gary just like, I'm just putting you out of your misery. Okay. There you go. Keep it up. Don't die. What? I just healed. You are so useless, Wizard Wendy. Just kill this clown. I wonder if, like, I went to heal Wizard Wendy, but while the number changed in the menu, it didn't register in the fight. Yeah, I don't think those last, like, 3 fights, I don't think Wizard Wendy had landed a single hit. There's the road I want to take. Right, and that's part of the diciness is they're so fragile right now. I just need my wizards to be a little bit better. So I don't have to be afraid that they're going to drop in one hit. I'm not really sure what defend is supposed to do, since it seems like the characters still attack. I hope. And of course, sometimes my Amazon just smashes the creature and it's like, cool, you don't need the experience. Yes. Hi, Hoku, how are you? You see what I'm up to? Yeah, hi, sweetheart. I know, I'm playing video games right now. Oh, I'm just north of this temple. Let's see. Got cut through the water, probably. I know! Do you feel bad that my wizard died? Let's run from this fight. This guy... Run! For heaven's sake. Had a random Hoku encounter. Remember if there's any experience tables or anything in the manual. I know it lists what equipment matters. Items. Character. Yeah. Here's the only other thing I can do is I can cast strength. That might help my guys. Okay, let's double check where these guys are at. Defense, weapon. Alright. Maybe just getting some trouble over here. can do. Switch, so my primary is a wizard. Sorry, I also want to check. 5009 is our current experience. I think the gravestones tend to be kind of badass creatures I don't want to fight. Nice. Like how my defending character 5076, okay, so that's my experience. It's like I'm just gonna go ahead and one shot this dude. I'm defending. Scout seemed to get the upper hand with that. So I think if I set strength, then I'll cast strength on myself and then start attacking. Which, sure, I guess. Well, it's the opposite way of where I want to go. You know, I'll make mistakes. This guy will kill us. I don't want to fight him. I wish there was a better way. And I am going through right now. So I'm curious, as a point of reference, Axe Amy level 9 has 47,000 experience. God Gary level 4 has 4,000 experience. Wiz Wendy has 5,000 experience. Level 5 Scout has 7,000. So presumably I have to get 2,000 experience maybe to get these wizards where they need to be. Well, not to get need to be where they be one level higher. It also shows how quickly my Amazon jumped in strength above everybody else. Sometimes walking over stuff like these little dirt piles will trigger that, because I didn't. glad you did it. I kind of want to just dial in some of my expectations for... Man. I mean, I think I want to get somewhere close to that. Because my concern is, if they lag behind too far, then they're not going to keep getting experience, and then they just won't ever level. Problem is, that's not going to make for terribly exciting gameplay. As you see, getting experience is a bit slow going. It might be unrealistic to expect to get my wizards up to my Amazon, since my Amazon is at a factor of 10 more. Oh god. I need heals now. A factor of 10 more experience than everyone else in the party. I wonder, can I cast invisibility? Basically defend is the best I can do. If my Amazon could cast healing spells, that'd be kind of cool, because that would help keep my casters up. And then they also keep my Amazon out of the fight, so it wouldn't steal experience. So all you can cast defensively is invisibility. Sure, I guess. Yeah, like right there. That was a killing blow that did nothing for the party. Scout. Magic. Sweet. I need you to go back to your weapon for a moment. So you have 5527. Let's see how much you can get from this guy. Hey, hey. I mean, if Andy's going for Del Saber, it's probably not, because Spread Needle's a range weapon. He's probably not doing a ranged class. Also, I don't remember if Spread Needle's damn it. I don't remember if Spread Needle was a quest weapon or just like a random drop. Wait for me. So the best I can do, rather than directing the person I want to do damage towards the bad guy, I'm going to pull my strongest guy away from the bad guy. Nice. I think a cool addition to this game would have been some form of multiplayer support. Since you have 4 party members. Oh, that was 44 the max. For some reason I thought it was higher than 44. Okay. Dude, don't come towards the level 9 hero. I do think Amazon benefited from being the point person I would send in on like boss fights. And so some of that horrendous amount of experience is just, oh, the boss fights I've done in this game so far. Nice. Well, now you have an entertainment for your entertainment PC. Oh, and Magic. Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of Magic I haven't played much of. Got 48, got 62. So I think when I breach 5,000, that's when God Gary will probably go up to 5. I probably want to get him to at least 6, probably 7. Like, it'd be rad if I got them all to 9. I'm weighing my options a little bit, because firstly, getting him to 9 is probably going to take for frickin' ever. It would offset the current disparity, which would be nice. So I don't have to worry about him dropping. I'd also be afraid of it setting him up to be over-leveled. Which, right, over-leveled party in a RPG is never a fun time. Maybe there's some point where I can get him high enough that I can just like keep this strategy if I don't have my main heavy hitter participate in combat and try to keep moving forward so I can progress the game while they continue to level. Try to split it halfway, you know. So right now all I'm doing is basically moving my main hitter away from the bad guy, monitoring health so that my wizards don't drop in combat, and waiting for the random walk around to naturally resolve. Drakkhen has a weird way of doing combat. Maybe one thing I could do is I could purposely get Scout killed so Scout's not in the party anymore. Jeez Louise. Just to help keep him from interfering. Can't I just kill this guy already? Oops. Magic, heal. Get both you guys. Nice. Sweet Mary and Moses. Alright. Magic, heal, whiz. goodness. How are you getting beat up so bad? This is not the first dungeon. I think it's the second or third. In case I can see what my girls are barking at. Girls, what? Yeah, there's no one out there. No. Poke it out. Yes, this is the second dungeon I had walked around in. The first one has the sharks. I don't know if you remember those dudes. Alright. I have a controversial idea. So, firstly, who all has unlock? Okay. So, we have someone else with unlock. So, I can drown Scout. Okay. And then I can just keep control of this guy to keep him in combat. Save that. Then I'll have with 1D cast unlock. So what this should do, yeah, this should help ensure that only the important people are fighting. My dude! Oh. You saw it, right? The bad guy's like, I'm just gonna corner you. I'm like, I'm the highest level character in the party. Go after somebody else. Wendy, where are you aiming those fireballs at? Don't coming after me. Good. See? Yeah, it like wants to auto resolve everything for some reason. And you have random hits, right? Because everyone's just kind of swinging. And everyone walks around randomly too, so that's another point of lack of control and what's going on. I can pick one person to directly control, and all I get for that is I can like run them into the person to have them start attacking. Like, in terms of old RPGs on the computer, like, it's not completely unfounded, right? Like, Ys had you running into bad guys, so like I kind of see that, but I don't know if the AI controlled party thing is supposed to be a workaround for the fact that trying to control 4 characters at once is hard. So we just don't try to do it. Oh, I didn't, because he was so far underwater that he just disappeared. I relate more to that. Scout's probably dead, but I don't know that for sure. Maybe he's out there having adventures right now. I didn't see him die. Dude, get away from the high-level guy. If you want any hope of surviving this combat, go after the lower-level guys. I will say these little intro rooms that spawn guards, not the worst place to grind. So I'm not just wandering aimlessly through the wilderness hoping I trigger a random encounter. Shit. And I can kind of see, right, because this started on the Amiga, so I can kind of see why they would do a side-scrolling thing like this. Because as impressive as the overworld probably was, first-person 3D on the Amiga was never amazing. Like, it was always really choppy. And they probably want something more real-time than, like, Eye to the Beholder or Wizardry. So this is like, right, you can imagine this as being an alternate way of doing a Wizardry dungeon crawl. So like, okay, let's do side-scrolling. Okay, that makes sense. Now if we're going to do side-scrolling and we want to have a party, how do you manage that? So basically, Andy, a draft in Magic, rather than constructing a deck, you are each player around a table takes, I think, like 4 boosters, and you open them, and then you know, as the name implies, you are picking a card out of the collection of boosters, and then passing the set around the table in a fixed direction. So other people can pick a card out, and you pick a card out, someone passed you. So you go around the table, picking cards, one by one, going through each booster, and then once everyone has picked cards, then that becomes what you work with to build a deck, and then everyone plays together using their kind of hodgepodge of what they got from the boosters. So you're kind of on the fly trying to make some choices about what cards you're picking out, what gets passed around. You can play a little bit with the meta of knowing what's getting passed around, and try to, you know, figure out, like, you know, what high value cards are getting pulled. More like standard. I suppose there isn't anything stopping you from doing that with Commander, but you would need a way of also passing around the commanders. I mean, if you wanted to, you could always try it out in Arena. Oh god. I also know a lot less about Commander than I do about other formats, just because I don't play a lot of Magic in the first place, and I think I might have played one Commander game in my life. When did you just get beat up? Yeah, I walked into my high level guy. I'm not so sure how effective Fireball actually is. It doesn't seem to hit very often. Also, I don't know why sometimes something's weird with that, because it registers the damage is coming from God Gary and not Wendy. But Wendy's the one throwing fireballs, and sometimes fireballs are directed at God Gary in the animation. I don't know. Jiminy Christmas, that didn't take long. You're so fragile, Wendy. Get away from my high-powered guy. I don't want that person to gain more experience. I have magicians who need to level. Get away! Fight the other people. You have plenty to play with. Jiminy Christmas, Gary. It's also weird, the moment I stop pushing on the directional pad, AI takes control of my main unit again. And it'll basically go into the configured routine, which is defend right now or whatever. It's so weird. It's like, you don't really want to control your character, right? It's like, kind of do. Kill this. Oh my sweet Mary and Moses. Attack magic fireball. Finish this dude off, would you? There. Jeez. Yes, correct, Andy. You can see I'm hitting a button right now to toggle that little blue jewel at the bottom of the screen. That's dictating which character I control. And that operates both in, when I'm not in combat, when I am in combat. And you can toggle the color, which basically dictates when you go from room to room in a dungeon. Does everyone go, which is red, or does just the character I control go in a room, which is blue? And when whoever you're not controlling, or even if you're not actively trying to move your character, they will, as you see, like, just wander back and forth on the screen, kind of doing whatever you're configured. I was gonna check how Gary's doing, but I technically can't. Alright. And another weird thing, there's some amount of auto healing and auto MP regeneration that happens, but it doesn't happen when you're walking first person like this. It only happens when you're in combat like we're doing right now. Or right, this sort of screen setup, whatever you call it. The side scrolling. As you can see, Wizard Wendy's HP is back up to 44 from like 20 or 30 something. Oh my god. South, now I'll head east. Sure. Why? Let me walk. Just let me walk. Alright. This is more the direction I need to go in, right? I thought that road was supposed to take me part way over. Maybe I picked the wrong road. I will say, overall, I felt like Drakkhen's cruising a pretty good clip for the story elements and going dungeon to dungeon and getting our first dragon jewel. I think it's a tier. But having a huge level disparity with my party members is becoming more of a problem. Good job. And so the need to resolve that is slowing things down slightly. I don't think I need to go through that elaborate part of the swamp. I think I can cut over from here. Yeah. Can a guy get a heal around here? Well, my issue with the very first dungeon is that it has that shark. And in fact, I think it has the same kind of guards at the starter trapdoor thing. Like, I don't know that they are actually the exact same stats, but they look the same. And I felt like they didn't get more difficult as we went through the other dungeons. So I think they might actually be the same enemy. Yes, can you just take this dude out? Thank you. And also you can kind of see the wild swings of effectiveness where I took a lot of those enemies down without too much trouble pretty fast. And then you just get one where like they just don't hit anything. And it goes on like that. Apparently on the Mega version, these different creatures like said different things instead of just like all kind of going. Rrr. I don't know if it's for ROM space or for censorship reasons. Those were adjusted. Shark. If I had an answer for that shark, I wonder if like invisible can be used to bypass it, because my Amazon knows invisible. Alright. Let's save. Actually, I can go up here. Scout. Unlock. Glug, 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 glug. If I could leave Scout out here, I'd do that, but it doesn't let me. Alright, let's go in. I think then they will cast Strengthen themselves and convert back to swinging the sword. Which may help with some of this. Yeah. Maybe they already have it, so they don't need to do it again right away. Dude, don't come after me, come on. Go after the wizards. My guy. Translation, maybe. I think it's explained on the internet. I just may not remember. Yeah, I think casting strength has something as a cooldown of some sort, but it seems to be really good. So we're gonna do some more of that as we go through this process. I wonder if it like buffs their next swing or something, or if it's based on time. Because the reason why I think there's a cooldown is I noticed that if I set that strategy when the combat ends, it reverts back to just using weapon. Which leads me to believe like it can't be used for some reason. Oh man. Right, you can see at the bottom, like when they swing, they do like 100 damage. Yeah. It's a really weird process that went through. Let's do some experimentation here. Go ahead, swim. Make them pay. Yeah, maybe the strat is don't set the strategy for casting strength before the combat starts, do it after it starts. bit tedious, but this game's got its share of quirks. Hit him. Please. You have strength on. There you go. $7,000, $7,000. How much experience is it going to take for God Gary to level? Ow, don't get in me. Well, at least God Gary took the guy out. Mess this dude up. My guys. Go after the enemy. We had strength. Oh. God, Gary finally reached level 5. Awesome. We know that the process works. As silly as it all is. And here's the thing, like, I'm throwing heals out. I'm having these guys buff themselves all the time. But just for, like, healing and the strength buff, it uses so little MP. It's so weirdly balanced. Right? Like, I turn on Fireball, I burn through all my magic. And there's just nothing left. But casting consistent heals to keep people up, that's incredibly affordable. And I'm not used to that in an RPG. It's usually, right, you're going to go through a dungeon and you're like, oh man, I can't heal anymore. Like, even standing at this screen, I automatically regenerate MP and HP. So if I really wanted to, I could camp here and get everything back eventually. God Gary's been getting a lot of the kills lately. Careful, God Gary, you get too strong and something bad might happen to you. 78.99. Oh, they're roughly equivalent experience. I'll be curious to hear from Nate if there's ever effort that need to be made when Brad would play this to grind. Because, like, if you ever saw in the previous streams, like, going to the store, that's expensive. Like, I could afford some stuff usually because I'd gone through a couple dungeons and then didn't buy anything else otherwise. I've relying a lot on grabbing free items from in the dungeons, but I could see a world where I need to buy something that I can't find in a dungeon, and so I need 50,000 jade. Like, it could end up in a grinding situation, kind of like what we're doing here. Like, I'm probably gonna earn a lot of money, honestly, just killing this one dork over and over again. I wonder if strength wore off. Just because I don't see the hits coming in. And one thing I feel like mentioning is, like I'd said at the end of last stream, oh, we're going to need to grind levels for our magicians a bit. I wasn't sure how I was going to do that yet. Like, I figured I was going to walk them around dungeons. But, like, casting strength and getting rid of scout, like, these are all, like, little weird strategies I've been making up as we go through this session tonight. Like, it does seem like, you know, as we're seeing here, there's a fair degree of ability to exploit portions of the game to do stuff like control leveling and manage resources. About the only thing that's a truly finite resource in this game is your equipment. Guys, hit him once. And looking in the manual, it's pretty vague about a lot of these spells. Like, it says that strength will basically increase your melee ability, but they don't tell you like how much MP uses. It says like, oh, it's a little bit fatiguing, or it's very fatiguing. It's like they're kind of trying to keep that old school D&D thing of like, we don't want you really like super optimizing the numbers. I mean, yes, you do when you make builds and stuff, but like that whole notion that it's good narrative to hide the machine underneath the story. I'm also not always clear how effective things are, right? Like, I'm having them cast strength again because they haven't hit anything in a little bit. I don't know if that actually helps. Or, like, the fact that you can turn on Fireball, burn through all of your MP, and you don't not seem to... Oh, come on, dude, stop it. And not seem to land a single hit. Like, I don't know what helps you be more successful with Fireball. 8,000. Right, it kind of has that classic lack of feedback thing that janky old school RPGs could have sometimes. A modern RPG, you have like a little symbol next to your stats that tell you, oh, your strength boosted right now. Using strength really has provided a great level of security and reliability to this grinding session. Hit him. Hit this dork. Make him bleed. I wonder if like the monster's AI spends a certain amount of time focusing on one party member and then it'll switch to a different one. And that's what's part of making it go. So I'm noticing he kind of walks towards my main guy for a bit, and then we'll just turn away, then come back. Strength was also up. I don't know if strength is also upping accuracy, or if there's like a certain amount of defensiveness you get from armor. And so if I'm not able to hit hard enough, I don't strike through the armor. Maybe that's what I'm seeing is not necessarily that I'm missing, but it's that their armor is protecting them. And basically using strength as kind of brute force through it. Apparently strength was still on there. Just creamed him. Now, Doc, I do hope you're pretty excited about your Drakkhen to Go adventures on the HP. I'm pretty excited about it because I know you really like that machine. And it seems like not being able to use a laptop with Drakkhen to Go is just like, that's fine, I guess. But, man, give a little more love to that derpy laptop. Give you another reason to use it. Sweet Mary and Moses. And some of a dry spell with our swings to hit. Strength. Hit this dork. Hit him with your weapon. There you go. I found the state of Romance of the Three Kingdoms on PC to be kind of disappointing because I think all of them are on PC. Most of them aren't translated. So it's like they can technically run, but maybe it's the size of the games. I don't know, but I would have thought they are a niche genre that's beloved. I would have expected more translation efforts. I'd also be kind of curious if there's much overlap with how one edition is to another one. Like, do they use the same text compression? Since it's the same studio working on all that stuff. Like, I can see it evolving a bit where, like, the NES one wouldn't operate the same way as the latest PlayStation 4 version, right? But in a few years span, is there enough commonality that if you're at least able to export the text and get at that data, would that carry over? Because, like, there's the 32X version of Three Kingdoms 4. Like, could you then apply that stuff to Kingdoms 5 on PC? I also kind of wonder if maybe the older ones didn't sell very well. Like I say, they had to have sold well because they made a bunch more English translations, but maybe like 4 didn't sell well or something. Because like it went super multi-platform because it was on Saturn, PlayStation. Well, I guess a number of them got PlayStation English. Yeah, I'm not remembering now. But like you look at like Romance 2, 3, and 4, like those got DOS, Super Nintendo, Genesis, and you know as that crossed over into 5th generation Saturn and PlayStation, like they made a lot of versions of those games, and then they just did fewer ports. And like as far as I know, until Switch, none of the other Nintendo consoles saw ports. God, Gary's level 6. Speed! So 87, 91. Yeah, these level thresholds for these characters are weird, right? Because Wendy got to 5 at like 5,000 XP and took God Gary until over 6,000, I think, to get to level 5, and then God Gary got to level 6 with fewer XP than was Wendy. I don't know how this works. I'd have to look it up. I wonder if Nobunaga's ambition kind of falls in that same place of it's been on PlayStation and a bunch of other places, but only Japan. I don't even know if Nobunaga's ambition has had many English releases. Like Romance has, so I think that one through like 6 or 7 had PlayStation ports. It has a bunch of PS2 English versions. Like, I don't remember seeing Nobunaga's Ambition very many places. I want to say that came before Three Kingdoms. because that was, I think, one of their early PC 88 games or MSX or whatever. My guys. Oh god. Strike was mine. There you go. Maybe. I'll say the older ones are way simpler. Like, there's still a lot of meat on them bones, but like, I can grok the basic systems going on in like Three Kingdoms 4. Looking just a little bit at Kingdoms 11, like, it's clearly a much more modern game. It's got more subsystems going that you have to balance against. Which, you know, right, it has to. It's an evolving series, but it also means that they're very different games. Like, Nobunaga's Ambition on the Game Boy. Hey! Paralysis, sweet. Nobunaga's Ambition on the Game Boy is missing a bunch of stuff from the NES version, which I think it was supposed to be based off the NES version. Can I save in here? No. Let's save real quick. But despite the Game Boy version being stripped down, like, there's no taxes in it, a lot fewer territories. If I recall, in the NES version, as you take territory, the boundaries of the territories don't change. So, right, as you are taking territory, you're doing it piecemeal by piecemeal and slowly taking all of Japan. In the Game Boy version, as you take stuff, it kind of aggregates it. So then if you invade a neighbor who's taken a bunch of adjacent territories, you're invading one territory, and you have one set of combat to go through and do that. The difference being it's how many resources they have available and how much money they get at tax time and how much rice they get at harvest. And that has the effect that there's fewer battles before the game concludes because your territory is constantly moving towards a more homogeneous whole. Right, which is the point. You're supposed to be unifying Japan, and the winner unifies Japan. So in a lot of ways, it feels less tedious and granular than the NES version. And there's a simplicity there that makes it easier to onboard. It's been, in my mind at least, an interesting thought exercise to consider that, in some ways, Nobunaga's Ambition for the Game Boy feels like a faster Nobunaga's Ambition, which is a weird goal to have. Like, let's take grand strategy and make it fast. That's very clearly what Koei was set out to do. And Doc, I had talked with you a little bit before about how two-player works in it. Like, the fact that you need two carts, which means that both players are running at the same time. As far as I know, you can't save. And it ends when the other player's defeated. Like, in my mind, that all feeds in that same idea that, like, oh, you're not playing regular multiplayer Nobunaga's Ambition, which is kind of a turn-based board game where you're both competing to take over all of Japan, along with the computer opponents. It's more 1v1, we're competing to win in this rule set, and a victory condition is to unify Japan, but really you just need to outlast your opponent. It's like a mod, it feels like, on the base game, because it plays totally different. I was not going to say makes it into more of an arcade title, but it feels less grand strategy then. And I haven't seen a whole lot of coverage of the Game Boy version online. When I saw Jeremy Parrish had his Game Boy Works episode on it. But aside from kind of loosely walking you through the major scenes of the game, like, oh, here's what combat looks like, and you're going over a map, and it's grand strategy, and sure, it's complicated, like a spreadsheet, no matter all the things you hear about a Koei game. He as an off comment, he mentions that it's smaller, but he doesn't go into any detail on it. Which, for Game Boy Works, I get. Game Boy, all those Works games are meant to be kind of broad stroke overviews. Honestly, I think he's more interested in the historical context of those games than picking apart each individual one. Like, he'll pick apart a game's design if it's relevant to the historical narrative, like, right, Dragon Slayer being this springboard, or this watershed point for Falcom, and how they designed their future games and what that meant for starting the series. Like, he'll talk about that, but he's not going to dig into the mechanics of a game for the sake of doing so. But I'm surprised no one has. So they haven't looked at Nobunaga's ambition on the Game Boy and went, this is a weird interpretation. This is really not Nobunaga's ambition as you'd think. I certainly don't feel like I know enough about it to do that. Like, I suppose I could put the effort in and try. But I think that's a more interesting story coming off of also playing the other Nobunaga games. Like, I think playing the NES one would be relevant. There's also a previous entry in the series that wasn't localized that started on, I think, PC-88. It might have also been ported to MSX. I have an MSX version of it, just because I bought a bunch of MSX games a while ago, and I happen to have that and a copy of Three Kingdoms. Which at the time I'm like, oh, great. But now that I'm kind of getting more into it, I'm like, oh, okay. I actually like that. Like, I think I would need to play a few of them and understand what were the early games like, and so it's not just, Game Boy's weird, but also, here's how they've changed. Here's what that initial cut looked like on the 8-bit computers. Here's what happened when it went to console. Were there concessions made? Were there streamlining of the UI? Do strategies change? Right, like, look at that slightly larger story, because I don't know yet whether what I see on the Game Boy is a difference between that and Nintendo, if that's unique to the Game Boy, or if, like, really Nobunaga's ambition has been an ever-evolving game as its hot platforms. And I'm pretty sure Nobunaga's Ambition 1, stateside version of that, which I think is the second one in the series, is also what's ported to Genesis and Super Nintendo. Like, I have Nobunaga's Ambition 2, Lord of Darkness, I think is what it's called, which is a sequel to, like, the NES one and all that. I don't think that's the only one on the 16-bit consoles. I think those also got ports of the same game that the NES and Game Boy have. So, right, like, that makes those interesting to compare. what makes it challenging to find this stuff on YouTube also is there's a lot of coverage of some of the modern titles. So I think there is a couple versions that came out for Switch. And those have gotten like the classic streamer treatment and YouTuber game reviewer thing. I mean, I think they're all probably quite good. But yeah, like the modern ones look pretty polished. So like it being more challenging to find coverage of the legacy ones, which like the names of the games don't help with that at all. That means I don't have a good read on what has been said about those games in the English-speaking internet. NES seems to be more popular than many. I think part of that is because that might have been the first English port of it. And like there wasn't a lot of grand strategy on NES. So I could see like if you're into that. Right, if you're in that and it's the 80s, like that's gonna be really influential for you as a young kid. Like I think the video I had linked you before covering the NES one, like that dude literally talked about randomly renting it and be like, I have not played a game like this before, and then like that was a proto game for that guy. So I think those factors influence why the NES version has a lot more YouTube videos. That copy of Three Kingdoms 11 I have for PC, like that's contemporary with PS2. Which I think that was 2008 that came out. The system requirements for it are surprisingly low. I don't know if it's that it requires more GPU than CPU, but like I think that runs on 98 through XP. And like I couldn't find a box like with the image I got. It didn't have the box screenshots, but I was looking online at like eBay listings and Google image search and stuff. I think it says it can run on a Pentium 3, which that seems really conservative for a game from 2008. What also doesn't help with that is your main way of getting the English PC Koei games today is probably Steam. And you know, like, all the system requirements on Steam are basically bullshit for old games. It's like, oh, 2 gigahertz i5. And it's like, this didn't need that when it came out. This is like your default whatever system spec that you throw on Steam games. So, like, instead I'm looking at, like, the only images I can find are like for the Chinese boxes or for Cantonese, and so looking at these kanji riddled backs and running through Google Translate and hoping that I'm looking at the right stuff. It certainly seems to run fine on the Aspire V5, which I do think is pretty overqualified for a supposed Pentium 3. But it's also not amazing. It can confidently run DirectX 9. Probably do DX10 okay. And I haven't gotten into a heavy game on that system though, so I don't know if performance scales like it does for something like Civilization. Grind, 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 grind. Look at me grind. I wonder if I should also get in the habit of having my casters cast strength before combat. They seem to be dominating pretty good. And the fact that they're basically one-shotting. Alright. They have 10,000 experience. That doesn't seem bad. Let's go ahead and save. We'll res our... our scout. That sucks. Yeah, I remember seeing like the anytime upgrade stuff, but I never really paid attention to it, so I was never sure how it worked and how you were supposed to use it. I mean, is the whole idea of going after ultimate just to render kanji? Like, what was the gain from that you were thinking about in the first place? The upgrade ISOs I'm finding CMS system is too new to upgrade in place. Oh, does it need like an up? Like, is it because you're on like? Well, one is it a service pack thing. Also, you installed like the Windows 7 compatibility stuff, right? Like, is that seeing some reported version from that that's like a newer rev than Vista? Because I suppose part of it could just be that. Well, no, I know why you got the disc. I'm not like, right? Us talking about Ultimate kind of entered the conversation. I thought when we're talking about running Densha to go on there, and I thought there was some assumption that Ultimate was required for some piece of that. Right. Well, it also kind of makes me wonder if you installed like the Windows 7 backported stuff, if that compatibility would be all goofy anyway. So it might not even be a good idea to try to upgrade the OS at this point. I see. Okay, this is a Japanese language package. Part of my curiosity too was, like, I'm running Ultimate on the Aspire, and some of the kanji renders, but there are areas of the application that it doesn't render kanji. It just looks like wingding trash. And so I didn't know if that was something that was innate to Ultimate or not. Or maybe I've already installed that at one point, and I forgot. I think I have to go through here, right? No, I'm going too far. I don't know what that is. I don't want to fight because it looks scary. Can we go through here? This kind of looks familiar. Too far north. Okay. So it's like over here. Thanks, tree. Oh, that's really cool. next time. Yeah. I mean, admittedly, I did... My reasoning for doing Ultimate wasn't amazing. It was, well, I'm going to put Vista on here if I'm going to do it. I'm going to get the biggest one I can. Feel a lot better about where these guys are at. Okay. So let's save. I think we've done a decent job of leveling. I think we're ready to continue on. We'll continue as we go forward the strategy of having my casters cast strengthen themselves and just get in the fray. Hopefully that will keep them getting leveled. Because previously what I had Wiz Wendy just doing combat and not casting, occasionally doing the fireball thing and then not really hitting much. And I had God Gary casting heal, which was cool for keeping people up, but he wasn't getting much experience from it. So probably if we continue adventuring with those two casting strength and getting into melee, that will keep them on pace. And I'm just going to try to keep Amazon Amy out until I really need to bring in a big gun again to do melee damage, like a big boss or something. And then hopefully that'll let us, rise all ships without resorting to a million years of grinding. Until then, I know I saved and want to do it again because I don't want to lose my progress. I think we'll call it. I think we've got about 2 hours, which is kind of the time window I like to do. Doesn't say here, does it? Sort of does. Yeah, we're clocking right about 2 hours. So, thanks for watching. Next time we will continue adventuring for real and not just grind. Yep. See you later, Andy. See you later, everybody.
I got a hand-me-down dog. I keep a second-hand cat.